now to the Middle East. President Trump revealing that right now there are no talks with Iran as the two sides are locked in a standoff over the Strait of Hormuz. Our chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yingst, joins us live from Tel Aviv with all those details. Good morning to you, Trey.
Yeah, hey, Ainsley, good morning. Iran has continued to launch new attacks, firing 2 missiles at the UAE on Tuesday. The event triggered alerts, forcing millions of people into shelters. In response, the foreign ministry in the UAE said they are cutting off all trade with Iran. Iran denied they were responsible for that missile attack. This does come as the war of words between the United States and Iran advances, with no indication that a deal could be reached anytime soon. President Trump posted to Truth Social saying there are no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with the Islamic Republic of Iran. The naval blockade remains in full force and effect. The Hormuz Strait is open and operating. All water mines have been removed or detonated. A day prior, U.S. negotiator Jared Kushner told Fox News that communications with Iran were still underway. Immediately after the statement by President Trump about the Strait of Hormuz, Iranian officials denied the critical waterway is open. The Iranians launched additional attacks on vessels there over the weekend, with Iran's foreign minister saying this.
Iran's foreign policy is a continuous process. Each government may move it forward through a series of initiatives, a different kind of dialogue, and new initiatives. But our foreign policy has a number of fixed principles that every government seeks to advance.
The Financial Times reports that Iran has weighed hitting U.S. targets in Europe if the war escalates again. The reports specifically named countries such as Cyprus and Bulgaria.
The Iranians are about to miscalculate, and they've done it before with this president. And they believe that being more aggressive, being more violent to create the image that this war is not working right and is going to cause him political damage, he's not going to stand for that.
The bottom line here, the region is stuck in a cycle of statements and strikes, and there is no end in sight. Ainsley?
Okay, thank you so much, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
So the president, it looks like, and if you read some articles this morning, there's a new approach to disengage, telling his envoys not to engage, not to stop the conversations with them, because we're going back and forth so many times.
Yeah, the problem here is, in the backdrop of this, and Trey's great reporting, is that Wall Street Journal article we saw about a secret plan for Iran to escalate the war. As he's reporting, Iran just struck the UAE with some missiles. That's not a huge escalation. We've seen that. But yet when you hear people like General Jack Keane talking about the situation, he's pretty convinced that Iran is watching what happens here in the U.S., particularly the midterms, fast approaching, just over 70 days away, and that they believe, Iran that is, that they can make things harder domestically for President Trump if they indeed escalate. And that's the concern of what we could be facing.
And of course, the midterms have loomed over this from the beginning. And I think in a lot of ways, Iran has miscalculated President Trump's resolve in this issue, because most presidents would have never embarked on something like this in an election year. Most politicians don't do anything in the year before an election, which is probably one of the problems with Washington. But they have miscalculated badly, because I think President Trump, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, whether you agree with this operation or you disagree with it, President Trump views this as a true dire threat to the United States as well as allies and in Europe. And he does not care about the political consequences as much as he cares about removing the nuclear threat that these Iranian dictators pose, as well as all of the mayhem that they stir up in the Middle East. Whether you agree with it or not, President Trump does believe that, and and the elections will have very little bearing on his decisions about that.
Okay.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.